None of my family comes from motorcycle backgrounds or anything like that. I got started into this thing through lowriders. When I was a kid, a friend of mine gave me a lowrider magazine, and I just started flipping through it, and I kind of got obsessed. I'm from Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, and I've been in Vegas for most of my life. We came directly from over there to here. I was about 8, 9 years old when I moved to the States. When we moved to the States, it was because we had kind of like a tragedy that happened in the family. One of my uncles got murdered, and the people that murdered him threatened my parents. Because of that, my parents decided to pick up and leave. I dropped out of school really young. I didn't even finish the 8th grade. When that happened, my dad made me get into this program, which was, it was basically like a trade school almost. So I started welding when I was really young. I was like 13 years old, and I just stuck to welding. I worked my way into a hot rod shop, and that being my first like official hot rod shop that I worked at, that I knew was a business that this person had created, building cars, you know, and being like a young kid made me recognize that it's real, that it's a possibility, you know, because you can say like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to, you know, do whatever these things are. That kind of like opened my eyes to recognize that it's 100% possible if I focus on it. A couple of years after doing that, I worked at Counts, and that was my kind of entrance to the motorcycle thing. This is where I got my start from. I just found these in my attic a couple months ago. I thought it was lost. I forgot about this stuff. So yeah, when I was a kid, I used to build these model cars, and I was like super obsessed with them, and I'd like spend all my time. I'd enter them in shows, and I was like smoking weed one day, and I got caught with weed in school earlier that day. And when my mom got home from work, I had all my model cars lined up, and she straight up smashed them. So this is the box. I just found them recently, and I would put all of my time into these things. I'd sit in my room and smoke weed, listen to music, and build these model cars. And I would make all the parts, all the seats, and all the little components and stuff. I would make them. I'd put like lights inside of them so they'd light up, and I would put like all the details. And this one was a replica from an actual truck that I was obsessed with, and I would copy all the hard lines and make all of the like cylinders for the hydraulics. And I was like, this was my start. Right after this, I started learning how to weld, and I got more focused into getting started with the real stuff. I have a little bit of experience in every single thing. So whether it's a car or a bike, I'm talking about every single part, like interior, bodywork, paint, electrical, mechanical. From all of those things, what I always gravitated the most, what I enjoyed doing the most, has always been making things, like fabricating. I don't know why metal. Maybe metal because I started welding so young, and it was just what I kind of what I was familiar with. But out of all of those things, it has always been my favorite, but it's also the most difficult part of the building process. Aside from the design, the metal shaping is always the most difficult part, from my experience. I think the reason why I enjoy it so much is because one thing that I've recognized is that the more that I do it, the more difficult it gets. I always try to make my latest bike look completely different than the last one. I try. I mean, I know that it's also like it's an evolution. If you look at them all together, I feel like you can tell that they're all built by the same person, but I try to make each one of them completely different than the one before. What I'm saying about why I think things are getting more difficult is that maybe it's not that it's getting more difficult, but I think that one of the reasons why I like shaping so much is because you have to be present in the moment. As you're shaping, in that moment, you're really aware that you're experiencing something difficult. And when you think of something that I did in the past, you're not experiencing in the same way as you are as being in that moment. Yeah, I think that if I didn't build bikes, I would still enjoy riding motorcycles, right? But there is a special feeling that goes into when I'm riding something that I built that didn't exist before, and I'm going down the road on it. Like there is a special feeling that comes from that. The only thing is that I'm the only one that gets that feeling, you know? Like if I were to let you ride this bike, you probably wouldn't get that same feeling because you're on a bike, you know? But for me, it is a special feeling to be able to like ride on something that you made, you know, and sometimes I'll ride something that I built everything on. I mean, the front end, the frame, everything, and you know, it's like everything is working properly, and just to know that like it all worked and it's all coming together to move you, you know, is that's pretty special. I enjoy that a lot. My name is Cristian Sosa of Sosa Metalworks.